Welcome to the Advanced Audacity tutorial for Title V. You should recognize this interface from last fall. This is Audacity, and let's just kind of refresh your memory on what we're looking at here. On the very top of Audacity, you have your main menu items, where you can save your project, import audio. Also, there's some effects that we're going to be looking at today. Just below that, you have your main tools, the selection tool, the envelope tool that we're also going to look at in this tutorial. There's a draw tool, a zoom tool, a time shift tool, and a multi-tool, which is kind of a combination of these other 5 tools depending on how you click on your track. Just to the right of that, you have your transport controls, the skip to beginning, play, record, pause, stop, and skip to the end. You have your input and output meters, your input and output levels, your audio source control, and a couple of other tools to cut, copy, paste, generate noise, generate silence, and a couple other tools here. So to get started, let's just record a track. Remember, when you hit record, Audacity creates a track for you and automatically starts recording. So I'm just going to record a little bit of audio so that we have something to work with here. And just to remember, a wave track is a visual representation of your audio. So where you see the peaks is the louder portions of your audio, and where you see a flat line or a flatter line is the quiet portions of your audio. Alright, I'm going to stop this recording and we can look at some effects. So to apply an effect, first select the portion of the track that you want to apply the effect to, and then click on Effect, and you have a couple different options here. Many of these are useful just if you're going to be working with music, but a couple of them are good for if you're just doing voice work. And the ones that we're going to look at today is the compressor, the equalization, fade in, fade out, and the noise removal. So let's look at the compressor first. What a compressor does is even out audio levels in a track. So if you're talking quietly in one portion of the track and talking quite a bit louder in another portion, you can apply the compressor and it evens out your audio levels so that it sounds like you're all talking at the same volume level. And a lot of this is mainly by experimentation, what sounds best to you. If you click this normalize to 0 dB after compressing, your audio is going to get really loud. So maybe you want that to happen, maybe you don't. For this tutorial, I'm going to uncheck it. The threshold is when the compression starts to kick in. So you can adjust this way down to 60 dB, or you can max it out towards 0 dB. We're going to start off with it somewhere in the middle. The ratio is how much of a compression effect is going to happen. The further to the left, the less you can see that the audio is getting compressed. The further you move the slider to the right, the more the audio gets compressed. So again, we'll kind of move this closer to the less compression. For the attack time, this is how soon the compressor is going to kick in once the audio reaches this threshold. So at 0.1 seconds, it's going to kick in almost immediately. If you move the slider further to the right, it's going to take a second before the compression starts to kick in. So for this, we're going to move it pretty far over to the left. And let's preview how that sounds. Okay, so let's try moving these things around a little bit and see what difference it makes. We'll move the ratio up a little bit so that there's more compression happening. And we'll move the threshold up also. Alright, so you can tell that there's a very slight difference, and in general, a compressor is a very subtle effect. So this is one of those kind of final touches that you want to add to your audio, just to kind of clean it up a little bit. So we'll go ahead and cancel this and look at the next effect, which is the equalization. You have this line, and what this allows you to do is adjust different levels for certain frequencies. So anything in this area from 30 Hertz up to around 100 Hertz or so is kind of a low end, kind of what you would consider like the bass frequencies. Anything from 100 to 1000 are more in the middle frequencies, which is where your voice resides, and anything above 1000 is more for really high-end stuff like whistles or cymbals. So you have some predefined curves that you can use from to test out, and let's just load one of these to see how it sounds. First, you'd select a predefined curve and then load it. And notice that the graphic line changes. And that the low end was quite a bit more prominent, and it kind of sticks out a little bit more. It kind of beefs your audio up a little bit. Let's go to acoustic and load that. Here you can see that the bass is cut a little bit, and the middle portion is left as it is, and the high end is cut also. So what we're going to do now is just clear that curve and create our own. And every time you click on a line, you notice that it creates a point. And you can then left click on the point and drag them. So if I want to make a little peak where your voice is, I can click in the middle and drag up. And this peak is going to be a little bit below 1000 hertz, probably closer to 800 or so. So you can tell that putting a peak in the EQ there increases that particular frequency, which also makes your voice sound a little nasally. So let's make this a little bit wider. And we're actually going to cut that frequency a little bit. So that kind of rounds things out a little bit more. The EQ is useful in case you have to use a microphone that maybe you're not used to, or you have to record audio on the fly and you don't have the equipment that you're used to, and maybe your voice doesn't turn out quite how you want it. You can use the EQ to make adjustments in your voice. So let's cancel this and look at another effect. Fade in and fade out. Both of these work the same, so we'll just look at the fade in. So if you select your audio and choose fade in, you notice that it made it quiet until it gradually gets larger. So let me undo that. And that's how it looked before. So let's redo the fade in. So now it naturally fades in. So that's useful in case you want to include some music in your audio. You can import a music track and fade the music out as you start to talk, and then fade the music back in at the end of your audio. And we'll take an example of that in just a minute. But the next thing I want to show you is how to remove noise. So the first thing I'm going to do is select a portion of the track where I wasn't talking much. And that looks like right about here. And let's zoom into that particular spot. So we're going to click the zoom tool, and zoom in. And you'll notice that the line is still a little bit wavy, so there's something happening there. And most likely it's noise, maybe room noise, maybe you have an air conditioner going in the room that you're recording in. To get rid of that, go to Effect, choose Noise Removal, and the first thing you have to do is get the noise profile. Once that's completed, go back to Effect and back to Noise Removal. And in step 2, you have to select how much of the noise you want filtered. If you move it too far towards the More portion, it could remove audio that you don't want removed. So it's best to start out on the less side. And then you can remove noise. And notice that the line gets a little bit straighter, which means that Audacity got rid of any kind of noise that was there. Since I'm using a headset microphone, I didn't pick up too much noise in the first place, so there wasn't a whole lot to get rid of.